What if I told you the man behind Star Citizen thinks that Squadron 42's launch could be as big of a cultural moment as Grand Theft Auto 6? Either the reporter misheard him, or Chris really thinks he's going head-to-head with Rockstar, which honestly is a pretty wild thing to say. And let's be clear, GTA 6 isn't just another game release. It's basically going to be a global holiday the day it drops. People will call in sick to work, servers will crash, and social media will go into meltdown mode. We're talking about one of the most anticipated titles of all time. Meanwhile, Squadron 42, which I genuinely hope turns out amazing, is going to appeal to a very different and much smaller audience. So yeah, when I read that headline, I couldn't help but laugh. Now look, I want Squadron 42 to be successful. I've been watching this project cook for more than a decade. But let's be realistic. GTA 6 is going to dominate headlines. Squadron 42, on the other hand, is a single-player cinematic space sim. It's niche by design, and that's fine. But comparing the two, that's like saying my YouTube channel might blow up bigger than Netflix. I mean, technically that's possible, but only if Netflix forgets how the internet works. Rockstar dropped the GTA 6 reveal trailer. It racked up tens of millions of views, and the entire world collectively lost its mind. Now, it's been delayed till May 26th of 2026, and people are still buzzing. Meanwhile, Squadron 42 drops a trailer, and half the gaming press goes, wait, is that the Star Citizen thing people are still waiting on that's been in development for over 20 years? Only 12 years, actually, but sure. Let's round up to 20. What's a casual decade between friends? Still, even if you trim the math, it's not the same battlefield, not the same audience, and nowhere near the same mainstream pull. And that's not me being negative. It's just a fair assessment of where things stand. Here's the issue. Chris isn't just saying Squadron 42 will be a big deal. According to this article, he's hoping it'll be almost as big of an event as GTA 6. And I've got to be honest here, that sets the bar way too high. Expectations are already brutal around this project, and the quote is accurate, he just poured rocket fuel on the fire. Now, would Squadron 42 sell well? Absolutely, but rival GTA 6 in terms of cultural impact? Well, it just feels like a fairly challenging bar to clear. And this is where I get concerned, because every time CIG sets expectations sky high, the community splits in half. One side cheers and says, yes, it's going to change gaming forever. The other side laughs and says, here we go again with the overpromises. Personally, I'm on the side that really wants the game to succeed. But I also live in reality, and I know setting the bar at GTA 6 levels risks fueling disappointment if it falls short. Now, neither side is completely wrong, but both get louder the bigger these claims are. And honestly, comparing your game to GTA 6 is like comparing your neighborhood car show to the Indianapolis 500. Both can be awesome, but one is going to pull more eyeballs, no matter how much wax you put on it. The truth is, hype is a double-edged sword. It gets people talking, but it also paints a target on your back. If Squadron 42 comes out and it's great but not world-shattering, people will immediately drag this comparison back out and say, well, it's not GTA 6 big, and in a lot of ways, that's exactly the risk. When you set the finish line at one of the biggest cultural events in gaming history, you've already created a measuring stick that's difficult, maybe even unrealistic to reach. Let's break down why GTA 6 is untouchable here. GTA 6 is more than a video game release. It's a cultural earthquake waiting to happen. When Rockstar drops a new Grand Theft Auto, it doesn't just pull in gamers. It pulls in celebrities, mainstream news outlets, late-night talk shows, your coworker who hasn't touched a controller in 10 years, and yes, even the grandma who still posts Minion memes on Facebook. The internet turns into a GTA hype machine. Memes flow endlessly. TikTok and YouTube shorts get flooded with clips, and every streamer is lining up to break their view counts. When GTA 6 drops, people are going to fake their own deaths just to get time off of work. HR departments worldwide are already sweating. Like seriously, GTA 6 isn't a game launch. It's the kind of event that's going to spike divorce rates. You think I'm joking? Wait till Karen catches Todd role-playing as a shirtless meth dealer in Vice City. The kids are crying, dinner's burning, and she's Googling divorce lawyers faster than he can reload an Uzi. And honestly, I might have lost my train of thought somewhere between Karen, Todd, and the meth dealer, but whatever. GTA 6 is a pop culture juggernaut. The appeal is universal. Everyone gets the fantasy of running wild in a chaotic sandbox world. Everyone understands the thrill of stealing a car and seeing how long you can survive with 5 stars blinking at you. It's a crime fantasy so simple it cuts across every demographic. Now let's put that next to Squadron 42. This is the single-player, story-driven campaign set in the Star Citizen universe, and Chris Roberts himself has pitched it as Top Gun meets Star Wars, and I'm personally here for it. You're talking about dogfighting in space with Gary Oldman and even Liam Cunningham barking orders, Mark Hamill guiding you through missions, and Ben Mendelsohn playing the shady corporate director whose loyalties might not be what they seem. That's not just star power, that's nostalgia and talent combined. If CIG nails the storytelling and gameplay, this could be the cinematic campaign that we've been missing for years. Personally, I'm a sucker for narrative-heavy space games, and the promise of meaningful choices is right up my alley. It's exactly the kind of game that I'd love to sink dozens of hours into. But let's be honest, a cinematic space opera, no matter how good, isn't going to have the same cultural weight as GTA 6. The two games aren't even playing the same sport. GTA 6 is a global open-world playground where chaos sells itself. Squadron 42 is a tightly scripted single-player campaign. And that's not a bad thing. In fact, I'd argue it's one of Squadron 42's biggest strengths. Its potential to tell a really engaging and profound story. If CIG sticks the landing, this game could give us moments that stay with players long after the credits roll. The kind of storytelling that makes people reflect and talk about it years later. That's where Squadron 42 can carve out its identity. Not by being the loudest cultural event, but by being the most meaningful in its lane. So when we start talking about potential sales, reality kicks in. If Squadron 42 nails the story, nails the gameplay, and launches without game-breaking bugs, which is a big if, then yes, it could sell really well. It could make a splash, top charts for a few weeks, and bring in a new wave of players who've never touched Star Citizen. But let's not kid ourselves into thinking it's selling 100 million copies. Realistically, that's not the market it's aiming for. The goal should be to make the best possible single-player space campaign ever, not to chase Rockstar's numbers. Now, Chris claims that 25 million people have touched Star Citizen, and that 1 million log in monthly. Honestly, I don't buy those numbers. Could there have been a surge during something like 4.2.1's Race for Stanton event? Absolutely. That event had ships flying, orgs competing, and real buzz. But a steady 1 million every single month? I honestly doubt it. That feels more like marketing math. Let's just say I think those numbers are generously padded. But hey, if Chris gets to build a funnel with imaginary metrics, I get to build mine. So smash that subscribe before I start selling JPEGs of it. At least my funnel comes with actual content instead of imaginary player counts. With that said, if Squadron 42 delivers, it could bring back lapsed players and funnel them into Star Citizen. Imagine someone who loves the campaign. They finish the story, they're blown away by the characters and ships, and then they hear there's a persistent online universe where they can keep flying. That's the real marketing win for CIG. Squadron 42 isn't just about its own sales. It's the front door to the bigger Star Citizen sandbox. But that door only stays open if Squadron 42 is polished, fun, and replayable. And then there's the timeline question. The article mentioned Star Citizen's official 1.0 being slated for 2027 or 2028. Do I believe that? I'd love to be wrong, but I'd sooner bet my mortgage money on Half-Life 3 and Elder Scrolls 6 releasing before 2027. Star Citizen has been promising milestones for years, and while development is undeniably moving forward, pinning an exact year feels like tempting fate. It's better to temper expectations and see how things play out. One positive note is the growth of CIG's Montreal studio, formerly Turbulent. It's now officially CIG Montreal and aiming for a workforce of 150 staff. That's serious investment, serious talent, and a sign CIG is doubling down on the future of both Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Montreal is a hotbed for game development, and having a full studio dedicated to refining and building content is a big win for the long term. It doesn't make Squadron 42 a GTA 6 competitor, but it does show that CIG is positioning themselves to deliver something ambitious. Squadron 42 really could be the cinematic campaign that we've been dreaming about, and I want to believe in the potential of flying into massive battles, hearing Gary Oldman scream at me to hold the line, and making choices that matter in the grand scheme of a story. At best, Squadron 42 is the weird indie cousin at Thanksgiving who tells a better story, but doesn't bring nearly as many people to the table. And suggesting it could be as big risks coming across as overreach, which might make some people chuckle instead of cheer. So here's the takeaway. Squadron 42 doesn't need to be GTA 6. It just needs to not be Cyberpunk on launch day. No T-posing admirals or elevators dropping us into space. It just needs to stand on its own. It needs to deliver a cinematic space campaign that sticks with players, where choices matter, characters feel alive, and the universe pulls you in. If it does that, it'll succeed on its own terms. But if Chris keeps hyping it against the biggest game in the world, it might invite criticism before the game even launches. Its real potential isn't about being the flashiest blockbuster. It's about being memorable. The games we talk about years later aren't always the ones that sold the most, but the ones that told stories so engaging and profound that we really couldn't shake them. That's the bar Squadron 42 should aim for. If it can land there, then it doesn't matter if it never reaches GTA's orbit. It will have done exactly what it needs to. So yeah, when I read that quote, I couldn't help but laugh a little. GTA 6 will move tens of millions, possibly more. If Squadron 42 sells a fraction of that but becomes a legendary space campaign, that's a win. The danger is expectations, because Star Citizen has been burned by overhype before. Gamers aren't allergic to hope, but can absolutely be allergic to hype. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Squadron 42 will shock the world. Or maybe Chris is betting that Gary Oldman yelling at me in the cockpit is going to pull more TikTok views than all of the childish Vice City strip club clips players are about to flood the internet with. Either way, I'd rather see CIG deliver a masterpiece than keep dangling comparisons like this. What about you? Do you think Squadron 42 could rival GTA 6? Or is Chris running on 5 days without sleep and a vision board that only says, beat GTA 6? Because if that's the case, the roadmap might just be dreaming in its sleep for the next 3 years. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, consider becoming a channel member for behind-the-scenes posts, members-only Discord channels, and recognition in every video. And if you haven't seen it yet, check out last week's deep dive on the upcoming Perseus and what it means. I break down why it feels more like a Predator designed for pack hunting, and how it compares to ships like the Hammerhead and Polaris, and what role it might play in future fleet battles. As always, thanks for watching. Fly safe, pilots, and I'll see you in the verse. Epic out.